So you're telling us a bit about the history of clown.
Yeah, I've gone through a few ideas, moments in history, uh, 16th century, 19th century, mentioned American blackface. There were different moments when things are different, and we could look at, more recent history with technology will always change things. So if you've got like the kind of venues that you perform in, it will change the way people clown. If you've got big buildings built with circuses, it will change things. If people are on tour, it changes how they perform. Um, the audience, thinking of circus, the history of circus, originally circus was more aristocratic audience, stuff on horseback that they would ride anyway. But later on, the audience expanded to include the middle classes, the working classes, families. And at a certain point, the end of the 19th century, clowns and started appealing more to children. They targeted families. And then it became, over a long period of time, it became almost identified with children. But those are for particular reasons historically. And nowadays, a few years ago when we had COVID lockdowns, a lot of people experimented with digital online media that they hadn't done before. Hardly anyone had done that with clowning. But we were forced into that, either do it or don't do anything. So that changed the way people clowned. And now we're into the sort of AI scare thing. And that's definitely, I'm pretty sure it will change the way people, we understand it and what we watch and what we laugh at and what we expect to see. So, you know, technology will always change art, and social conditions will always change it. And that's just within, our own culture. And then beyond that, pretty much any culture around the world in any time will probably have something that we would recognize as being clown-ish.
Yeah.
Not necessarily exactly the same, but some kind of performance thing where some people are portraying themselves as idiots, clowns, as fools, as the ones to be laughed at. Although that idea of what a clown is, that's a very modern Western idea. Um, so you'll have that mentioned in Native American cultures. So that's a very broad. That's like saying there were clowns in Europe. Um, and you can name any continent or any area of any continent, and you'll probably find a clown tradition, either living or not quite so living, or expanding. Um, yeah, there's just it's kind of everywhere in a little way that politics is everywhere, religion is everywhere in some form. It seems to be something that we do as humans together in order to sort of try and work out what the hell's going on in society. To wonder, I don't know, you could speculate about why. It's another big question. But it seems like it's just a basic thing, like language. It's like a thing that happens. Um, yeah,
Yeah. See what you're getting at. I mean, it is. I know that. I don't know if you watched this, but there was an interview with Dan Lees, wasn't there, a while ago on clowning, and it was
I
a bit
didn't
like
see
a hit
that.
piece in that they tried to say that, oh, the circus clown is dying, but like, well, the clown is falling. But there's all sorts of people from the theatre world of clowning, and clowning's like loads of people were taking clowning courses, and yeah, that was an interesting that most people still have the image of clowns just being like Pennywise, and
Yeah, I mean, they're dominant images, for good reason. Well, good reason, for a reason, because of the cultural norm, and so on, and that influences how people do it. Uh, yeah, I mean, there are so many ways that clowns and clowning can manifest itself and have done, that it's kind of a fool's errand to try and pin it all down to one thing. I mean, I used to try, I admit. Yeah, I used to try. What's the definition? What's the essence of clowning? What's the thing that they all have in common? And I don't think there is. I think there's similarities, or there are populations of similarities, but not all clans will have one thing that they all have. Um, so there are tendencies, and if at a certain point, for us, for our society, clans have been identified with circus, and then with this kind of um, this idea, this kind of invented idea that all clowns are supposed to be funny. As I mentioned before, there's a history of clowns becoming more and more for children um, in circus. So if they're for children and they're funny, well, they must be the opposite, right? They must be not funny, scary, and not for children, and you know. So wherever that kind of little idea sprung up from, it was a useful idea for people. It explained certain things for people. For some people, I don't know, American teenagers who are into fright stuff. Why not? If you're a teenager and you want to drive out into the woods, Halloween, and film your friend coming out the woods as a clown, and have fun. But if that's your kick, then that's your kick. And so, clowns can be used for so many different purposes, and, uh, um, welcome pretty much. You can use it for what you want to explain about the world. Because it's a very, I think that's probably why it's interesting to me, because it's this figure, like I suggested, is this figure who said, well, yeah, laugh at me. I'm the idiot, or I'm not what I'm supposed to be, or I'm not who you think I should be. It's this sort of negative side of a society. So whatever that is useful for you, you can use it. Whether it's for comedy, whether it's for horror, whether it's for philosophy. Um, yeah, go for it. So I'm very eclectic in my understanding of planet, as like oh, pretty much any form, good or bad. Because that's the other thing. Some clowning is good for some people, and some clowning is bad for some people. Like you can do it well or you can do it badly, but it's subjective. But just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not clowning. Because it's bad clowning. It's like you can have good art and bad art, good TV and bad TV, good comedy. A stand-up comedian who's telling jokes and no one's laughing. It's just a bad stand-up comedian, right? Still a stand-up comedian. Um, so yeah, I'm even interested in the bad clowns because they're still using the same idea of what it is.
So with clowning itself and with a lot of it, what would you say, as it's mostly a stand-up comedy podcast, what would you say comedians in particular can get out of clowning?
Um, I think there's a couple of things. Um, one is to incorporate this more into what they do. Hey, stand-up comedians already do this. Uh, More that you are the joke. So, to separate it, and it's not really like this, but to separate it in here I am telling a joke. Yeah. There's a joke, there's a funny image. I have a setup, a punchline. Um, and you imagine this situation, and suddenly it's kind of surprisingly twisted and you get a laugh. Yeah. Classic joke thing, set up and surprise. But it's all out there. It's all in the imagination. It's about other people. Maybe you're talking about other people who aren't in the room. Um, and then on the other extreme, you've got what we could call more clowning for the sake of argument. Here I am on the stage, and for whatever reason, many reasons, you're laughing at me. What an idiot. Oh my God. How's this possible? Um, so between those two poles, there's many nuances, and you can mix the two. You can slip into being an idiot into saying something very witty. If you actually look at who was what I was just watching before, was it Joe Wilkinson on some rubbish TV thing. Great example. He presents himself as an idiot, and then suddenly he's saying something very witty that's about someone else, and it's kind of very nicely crafted. The punchline. So you you can weave in and out these things. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm either, a stand-up or I'm a clown, and they should be different, and you can't go from one to the other, or that's really difficult. But I think we do that anyway, naturally, humans. So the clowning will give you more of a sense of how you can make yourself the object of laughter. I kind of use that phrase sometimes, and clowns as an object of laughter. And then the other way I think that can be useful for any performer, but definitely including comedians, is to sort of expand your style. So this is a bit more. So I think it's quite easy in clowning to understand that you could have a way of clowning that's very physical, or draw in terms of how physically gesture. You could have a style of clowning that's more verbal on a kind of clown idiot level. You could have a style of clowning that is more about props, about objects, about costume. So those are all really different ways of clowning, but you can combine them. And, if you've got stuck, if you are the kind of stand-up comedian who's got stuck into yeah, I'm thinking about what I'm saying, maybe about the way I'm saying it, the timing, but beyond that, I'm not really going beyond that. Then if clowning can sort of just loosen things up and say, you know what, I might be doing 95% verbal wit, but I'm going to have one visual gag there near the end or the beginning or whatever it is. It's just going to be a completely different way people are going to respond and laugh to me. And I do kind of advise this a bit to anyone building a show. Yeah, you'll have your style, your tendencies. You want to do that most of the time. But if you just throw in one or two other things from a different style, it will just really mix it up. Because yeah, it might be what you like, but then your audience can have a variety of responses. So, I mean, you can't do everything. That'd be absurd. But yeah, so I think clowning can help comedians in those ways, just to sort of branch out a little bit further, getting a little bit more depth into what you're doing, if you want that.
Okay. What has been, like, an example of someone that you've taught with clowning and, like, they've become an incredible performer, like, how it changed them? Because I know that, like, actors talk about how it makes them more loose and it makes them more, I mean, acting can get quite static, can't it? Because you got all these techniques and ways of doing things, but clown loosens you up to be more vulnerable. And he said something along like, it helped him be more vulnerable and more loose when he was performing.
For me, it's about listening up. Yeah, vulnerable is a bit of a loaded term for me. It's like, might not be something you want, depending on who you are. But anyway, let's sidestep that word out. Um, yeah, listening you up, letting you feel more confident in presenting yourself as this kind of laughter, yeah, objective laughter, um, which is, as I say, I think it's something humans do socially a lot of the time. You present yourself to your partner, your family member, or your friend, or your workmate, stranger on the bus. You're like, oh yeah, what an idiot I am. Yeah. So that's like a mini clown act. It's something we do anyway, naturally. Some people more than others. Um, but I've forgotten what your question was now.
Yeah, what was I getting
Oh,
at?
yes, the influence of the person at all. Well, I would never claim that anyone I taught was better because they'd come to my workshops or classes. But there are people I've taught who I really admire what they're doing now, and they weren't really doing it when they came to my classes. So I don't know how much influence there was. Probably not much, but maybe there was just a little bit of like, yeah, keep doing that. And for example, Frankie Thompson, Roman London, who I really admire as a performer. I remember when Frankie came to clown classes years ago, very young, but yeah, they definitely wanted to do it. They knew they wanted to try this. There was something there. And there's something very particular about their style. And just fitted in clowning. And I remember Frankie just being in classes, just going, there's doing the most bizarre things, and people are like, what? Wow. But it's very charming. Actually, that word vulnerability, yeah, I would use that in that case. It's a kind of combination of almost fragility and a confidence that they have, which is quite unusual. That I mean that's what I like to see in a performer. Actually, it's kind of absolute determination, ability to entertain and hold a stage and control that situation, but also present themselves or be, but at least present themselves as being somehow kind of very uh, not in control at all of anything. I think that's a really, really amazing thing to have. So that's the example that always comes to mind for me. Um, and then there's people that I taught years and years ago in Spain who are now famous film actors. Um, but I don't know, I haven't spoken. Maybe they say, oh yeah, it's all because of you, John. I couldn't have done it otherwise. I would have been an uptight actor and loosened me up. I doubt it, but it's nice to see people that have come through as, as some that as teenagers. Actually, I used to teach a class for the young people, and so they were like 14, 15 year olds, and to see them as artists, as performers now, it's just great. But yeah, it's just nice to have met them.
So I got 3 questions based on what you said. So, um, I'm gonna make it more specific. So what's, in a recent workshop you've taught, or what's an example of a student who came in, like, really opposite, but then they transformed into a butterfly, and you're, like, really like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." And then what you mentioned there, I think you mentioned earlier just now, you were saying about uncontrolled. And I think I hear a lot of this. I heard this in Matteo Destro, and I heard a bit of it in like in Gaulier, like the fixed point is like so important for performers because otherwise you're just all over and you got to deliver the message clearly. And I've forgotten the third question. So let's
Okay, so the transformation to the butterfly and the fixed point thing. I'll go with the control and fixed point. That's easier to answer while I'm thinking about the butterfly. Um, yeah, fixed point is not something I think about these days, but it was definitely something when I was studying and beginning, that was kind of, oh wow, yeah, this is a way of like focusing an audience's attention on something. Um, People might find that know me might find this strange, me saying this, but when I was like in my 20s, I actually did some mime. I often use mime as a kind of example of like, not really like clowning. But anyway, I joked about it a little bit. Um, and in mime, you're using your body to sort of tell stories and kind of indicating without language where the audience's attention needs to be. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I don't really think about it now. I definitely don't teach it, but having the ability to almost control time and space as a performer, which sounds very abstract, but I think that's a thing to actually be able to sense. So it's about timing, but it's about position on stage. It's about when you move, when you don't move. There's an old thing about acting, a very old fashioned thing, but it's quite useful. Um, don't move and speak at the same time. So, obviously you can do both at the same time, but walk across the stage, take your position, deliver your lines, walk to the next point, deliver your lines, that kind of acting. As it's quite a good lesson actually. So this is just about how you control that space and time. And it's in the moment because we've got a live audience. If we're talking live performance, we've got a live audience who's responding. And this is something really important for me in clown. They're responding and they're responding with laughter or not laughter, or sometimes other things like pity or boredom or anger. Yeah. But let's say they're laughing or they're not laughing. So as a performer, what's important is to follow that. If you're not responding to their response, you're just ignoring it, then why are they there? Oh, that's the other thing for stand up. That's useful. Just to have that sense of tune into the audience response. But most stand ups have that anyway. Have they don't, it's not a good look. So the responding to the audience, the response, timing things, you might need to go faster, slow down, do more, all that kind of thing. So controlling the space. Am I moving? Am I waiting now? Because those responses come a bit slower from the audience. Are they just going to get this in 1, 2? Now they've got it. Now I go. So all that kind of awareness of what's going on in the moment, which is complicated because you've got your act, you've got your show, you've got the thing you planned, or you're an improviser and you've got your kind of rules of how you're doing things. And it's very easy to get caught up in what you're intending to do, but you've got to be there with the audience. And sort of, yeah. So that's your question about fixed point. I've kind of expanded that into all those have stage awareness, stage technique, if you like. Because if you don't have that, then, what's the point really? So yeah, so that's that one. People that turned into butterflies. Well, I remember there was a guy so I ran a 3-week course in London in the spring. Next year it's in April. This last year it was in May. And had one student, and he's still quite young. He was beginning studying, 19 or 20 years old, I think. He'd done some acting, so young person, and he every day he would say, this is really hard. I really want to get this, but I find it really hard because, I'm not sure what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And anyway, over the course of the 3 weeks, he got it, whatever it was. And he very much understood through that responding to the audience thing, I think, was what did it for him, and through paying attention to the audience. But it's looking at them, listening to them, waiting for them, following them. And it really clicked, and he tuned in to that live experience. And then he could do pretty much anything he wanted to. And that was it. So yeah, very young person. So yeah, that was the beginnings of the book.
It must feel a lot of pleasure for you as a teacher when you make that sort of effect on someone.
It's nice to see someone understand things. Basically, I don't know if it's me having an effect, but it's nice to see someone go, I think this feels different now, or I'm really enjoying this, or I found my way. Sometimes it's very unexpected, which is also great to see. So someone will bring a style or a way of clowning or performing, which isn't even in the exercises I'm giving them. It's nothing that I'm sort of looking for. And someone would just suddenly, actually on the same course, there's another one. There's another person who, and I won't mind me saying this because we spoke about this, and he didn't really get the exercises of his kid. He wasn't really interested in them and didn't really engage with them. And sometimes that was frustrating for him and me and other people. And near the end, he came and we were presenting like a show, work in progress thing at the end. And day or two before, he said, I've worked on something, John. Can I show you? Oh, really? Because I thought, you haven't really been working on anything. And he had this 10, 15 minutes material. I had to say, stop, of crazy stuff. And I was looking at it and he said, you don't like it. He said, I can't work out if you don't like my material or you don't like me. I said, well, I'm not enjoying I'm definitely going, what is this? What is this? And I said, I didn't see the relation between what he was doing and what we've been working on. And then he said something very interesting. He said, but it's all this course and the courses I've done with you before that's allowed me to do this. And it's his style. It's his style. And with some work on it, some kind of condensing it and managing it a little bit, there's some great stuff in there. And I thought, oh, that's because of what we were doing. And it wasn't directly related. It was, well, it was for him because it was related to him feeling he could just do anything almost. Um, and then he came up with all this crazy shit. Um, so yeah, so that's really interesting. So I didn't imagine that. It's not what I was looking for, but that's great to see. The danger with I can do anything, of course, is that if you just don't do anything and it's no good, or no one wants to watch it, which is also, I would say, a little bit of a danger of clowning. Because if clowning is sort of opening us up to go, well, I've told myself, or people told me, oh, you shouldn't do this, behave like that. There's a lot of restrictions on behavior, and certain amount clowning is about playing with, disobeying the rules, or you're just not doing things how people expect you to behave. And this is the loosening up. So the negative side of that can be that you just think, well, it's all good. Anything I do, it's clowning. It's all clowning. I could just do anything. Yeah, you can't. Well, you can, but it won't be very good. So then you need to work out, well, how do I order this stuff? How do I structure it? What makes sense? What do people want to watch? And that's a whole nother journey.
Okay. I've got one thing to say on this, and this is something that I heard from someone in the course of Gaulier, and this is going to be a little bit offensive and may come across the wrong way. But some people have said, and they said in the course, they said the more stupid you are as a person, the better you are as a clown. Is that Does that that's what he said, and I don't know if that's I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but
Um,
I think that's a bit of a sweeping statement. But, what are your thoughts on that statement?
it sounds like one of the things he would say in a particular moment, and it would possibly make sense at the time. I mean, this applies to all clown or acting teachers. I think I was saying this the other day. You can use a particular. I was trying to describe something that's going on in the class to identify it so we could do more of it, something like that. And I was just checking with people. I said, "Do you know what I'm meaning by that word?" Can't remember the word. Yeah, you know what I mean by that? And okay, yeah. I think we know what you mean by that. Okay, so because out of context, that word would mean a lot of things. But right now, we're looking at this. Um, so it's an issue when you write this stuff down. I know because I've written a lot of stuff down. Or you read what's another actor, trainer, or clown teacher has written, or said, or you hear it, it might not make any sense because almost it's like you had to be there. Because mostly teachers are, it's also in the moment. So that thing you've just said, you know, although it's a sweeping statement, it might make sense, or the effect he wanted to have on people at the time. This is what a thing that Gaulier always has done, to say something for its effect, to drop a bomb into the room and go, well, I don't know. I remember there's a few Americans there when I was studying, and you would say, yeah, because Americans don't understand humor or something like that. It wouldn't say it like that. You know, it's a thing to people to go, oh, or wherever his teaching method is, or whether you like it or not. But so it sounds like one of those. Might be very specific, and it might be for effect. Because what is stupid in life? I don't know. I don't really know what that means. Um,
Well, he's a very logical man, very smart guy, very good actor, very successful. But in the clowning modules, as in the clowning course, he struggled a little bit, and
uh,
there'll be people I think he would struggle a bit because he's too in his head. He doesn't play with what's there. Um, he's probably saying that because of me. Ha ha ha! No, I'm joking.
was it you?
No,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. I with a lot of the clowning courses, I don't know what it is. I'm a kinesthetic learner, so when they teach a lot of the things, if you're just showing me it, I don't really learn too well. I have to be moving with it or actually doing the movement to learn it. And
Right.
I frustrate a lot of clown teachers or theatre actors because I'm not very good at that. And they'll do an exercise, and I'll do something really completely stupid, but it'll be hilarious, and I wouldn't even know what I'd done. So
Mm.
that's yeah, he's probably having a go at me. I don't know.
Don't know, don't know. I mean, I've come across people that on the surface, they look, you know, they're struggling with the clowning. And when you kind of deal with them in real life, they don't seem particularly intelligent either. So, but it's just appearance. I don't know.
Uh,
So, I could say the opposite.
so I'll say one thing. I think we're all smart and stupid at different things, and that doesn't always get considered enough. If people see that you're silly on one thing, they think you're dumb in everything.
Yeah, this is true. This is the way, this is why clowns can exist as a thing in our imagination. Because we kind of say, oh, right, this person is the one who always messes up, doesn't think before they do things, et cetera, et cetera. All the qualities of what we think a clown is. Um, and we like to sort of predict that will all be in one person, for whatever reason. It's the way our imaginations work. But yeah, in reality, we're much more complex than that. I mean, I find it that when anyone knows what I do for a living, and then I come up and I interact with them in a work situation, for example, that's not clowning, for example, a meeting with other people at university, yeah, and they know what I do, they will laugh at what I say, whatever it is I say. I'm saying something. I'm saying something. Well, I think this in this article that we're talking about here, this is about student learning. I think da 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 da, and I think that's. I think we should think about that. And people go, you know, because I'm a clown, and so instantly it's a trigger reaction, which is great for performing. You just present yourself as a clown, say, "Hey, I'm funny," and people laugh. It's that easy. But in other aspects, when you want to say, "No, no, 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 I'm being serious here," it's difficult for them. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
difficult.
yeah. No, it's funny. Is there some from what we said there, and I think this would be the closing statement on this, and we're gonna ask a couple questions, but is there is there a kind of person that you notice that tends to do what this is stereotypes and this is like
Yeah.
tendencies, everyone's different, but is there a thing that makes tends to make someone do well at clowning? I mean, from the courses I've done, I've noticed that some of the people that have done well in it, they're quite they're free spirits. They're not too bothered about how they come across and they just go with it. And I find that some of the ones that struggled with it were too logical. They were too in their head, too trying to calculate everything, too step by step. But those that weren't just went along with it and just found things tended to do better. That's from my experience of the courses. The ones that did well in it had that approach, but the ones that struggled were too in their head and too logical and
Yeah.
thinking too much.
Well, what you're talking about there is people's experiences in a workshop. So that might well be the case. But I would, I wouldn't worry so much about. I'd worry about out there in the performing world. Like, who are the people and the qualities that do well in the actual world of clowning? Because some people can be very funny in a workshop, and then they think, "Oh, I'm going to put that on the stage." Complete flop. Unless they just get their classmates to come and see it, in which case, ha ha ha. You know. So, the qualities that make you funny in a workshop are not necessarily the same as the ones you funny in front of a live audience that has never met you. Um, and this is another problem about kind of, um, so what the qualities for doing it well out there, I would say, um, I think you need to be quite, I'm going to call it intelligent. Like you need to be quite aware of how you do things, at least aware of the effect you have on people. You might not know why, but you've got to realize, oh yeah, when I come in like and do this and say that, people are just going to crack up because that's what they do. So I'm going to do that now. Yeah. So you need to, and this was talking a lot about Gaulier in this podcast. He was good on this. He was good on, selling your stupidity. Are you aware of what it is that makes people laugh? You don't need to know why, because if you're aware, you can sell it. Um, and it's not random. So I think you need an awareness of what it is. You've identified it, and you can produce it when you need to, and you enjoy producing it when you need to, and you can produce it when within a structured act or a show or however you organize your performance. And it's not random, because if it's just random, like in a workshop, and you don't know how you did it, then it's kind of useless in the real world. So that's the step from workshop to stage. You've got to have grasped what it is or what the things are that makes you a good clown, and then use them. So you need some self reflection, and some honesty about yourself. Um, yeah. And if it's not the thing you like about yourself or you wanted it to be, it's just not. It's just not. I remember somebody from years back who we were doing some stuff together. And it was so funny, and we did a show, and then they didn't want to do that way because they didn't want to be funny in that way. So they did it another way, and then it wasn't funny. So the audience knows best. Once you learn what the audience want, then you can do it for them. Yeah. I had a student once who was the opposite, and she actually came to me to the classes because her therapist had recommended it because she made people laugh without wanting to in her normal life. And she was having a really bad time with it. So she came to try and work out what it was that made people laugh. And when she did exercises in the class, it was terrible. No one laughed. And all the rest of the time she was in the class, all the rest of the time, we were laughing at her. And I think she did learn. She came for a few weeks, and I think she did learn something about it. Hopefully, I do hope she's done well since then. Yeah. So she had no awareness of why, nothing. So her task was to learn why, and that's the same for if you want to use it professionally. So she could not do it. She didn't want to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a famous comedian now. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
No. Now, for you said one thing that was quite interesting there about people. It said if your friends come and watch you from the workshop and they laugh, because I noticed that that's a big problem with Gaulier clowns. They'll invite people to their own shows, and the only people that laugh are their friends. Whilst a stand-up, it's very brutal, and you don't do that. But
Oh.
like clowns, they can be more supportive, but I don't really agree on bringing your friends to all your shows. And I think that brings a full sense of
Well,
secret.
it's hard. If you're trying to build your clowning work, you've got to have some people watch it. So, it's gonna be your friends, beginning your family. So it's normal. But you can't trust them.
Yes. I think you can trust them to talk about what makes it work outside of the stage, but bring them to the stage. They're already there to support you. So they're not
Yeah.
gonna someone that doesn't give a fuck if you're they're there for their needs. They're not there for you. If you don't make them laugh, they're gonna leave the room. That is great thing because then you have to win them over. You're here to fill their needs. They're not here to come and support you.
That's right. I mean, they're there to enjoy themselves, presumably, but you still need to, yeah. Who was it said to me years ago? Patch Adams. You know who Patch Adams is? There was the
I've heard
film
of
made
them,
about him
yes.
with Robin Williams, but the actual Patch Adams. He said that he thought his job was to find people who were disconnected, who are literally looking at the floor, like out there in the world. Yeah, it's not talking about stage. It wasn't really a stage clown, but the people who are disconnected, who are alone, so they had no eye contact with anyone. Was to go and make eye contact with them, to invite it in a very gentle way, and then maybe have a smile and share a smile. And that was his job done. The film. I thought that was a really interesting way of thinking about it because it's what you're saying is his job to seek out the people who are not just going, yeah, it's the clown, that's my friend, it's my brother, it's my other. Yeah. And find the people who are just not, don't even know what's going on and to find them and make a connection. I think that's really interesting. So, yeah. And you'll get people like that in an audience who are just looking down. going, "Oh God, why am I here? Yeah, my girlfriend brought me here and I hate it." Or, I'm a terrible audience member. If I don't really like it, I just have such a bad time and want to leave. So, but if the performer really seeks me out in a way that isn't sort of aggressive or works for me and goes, "Oh, okay, I don't know, whatever it is they're doing," then okay, I'm on board now. So yeah, that's really important. Um, always find the people who are not laughing. I wonder why. What's going on their terms? You can't just say you're wrong. You should be laughing. I'm really funny. You got to go. Okay. So what's going on here? Mm.
There's so many things to add on what you said there, because there's a thing in comedy, especially in what's going on in some scenes. Some comics will say some very brutal things, no, not racist, but very dark things that
Right.
come across the wrong way, and
Right.
then they'll blame the audience. Then um, Gaulier. I think I never witnessed this, but I know that I was watching a video or I was listening to an article, and someone said that there was an incident where Gaulier, Philippe Gaulier, fell asleep during someone's performance,
Oh
and
yeah.
then someone went and complained or something and said, "Oh, you can't rate me because I fell asleep." But then Philip said, "Well, there's a reason why I fell asleep." And I think but that's so true, isn't it? It's your it sounds mad and stupid, but it's your fault, your responsibility at all times to sort it out.
Yeah. And if you see that he's fallen asleep, then what? Then respond. It's a gift. Someone's fallen asleep in the audience. It's going. You know. Just
Ah,
go sit
yes, yes.
next to them and go, "Hey, wake them up, nice," or whatever it is. It's a gift. Yeah, but it's not something that as another workshop problem. The power relation between teacher and students is very, very kind of, it's a big one. Some people are paying a lot of money. Some people is earning the money. Some people have got the knowledge, supposedly. Some people haven't. You know, it's a tricky situation for that to happen. I think it's easier actually in performance, live performance, something like someone's falling asleep in the audience. Yeah, it might make you feel like terrible. Oh my God, I'm so bad. Or they shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, I think clowning can teach you to respond to all these things. I love clowns and performers who take on board all that kind of stuff, which is disruptive. Um, some of these just wanders. Street performers sometimes have this. Someone wanders across their performing area, and instead of just like get out of here, they'll respond and they'll be kind to that person, or jokingly horrible, but there's still a kindness there.
Mm.
Yeah, so many things to learn. You're right. So many things to learn. Get why?
What you said there is actually something that a really good improviser comic, and I said this to him that he would make a good clown, like Trevor Locke. He found out that he got a lot of laughs and people enjoyed him more when he just did crowd work improvisation.
Right.
But he says when he does a show, he everything's a gift.
Ah,
And that's saying what you said there. Being alert, listening, and everything that happens is something you can work with.
yeah. Yeah. And if you give yourself enough opportunities and experience to do that kind of work, you'll probably realize there's not that many situations actually in the world. They'll repeat. It might seem very random the first time someone falls asleep in the audience, but that's the thing. So next time it happens, you've got a kind of thing you can respond to. Again, street performers, a lot of them know this. If you watch this, most people don't watch the same street performer more than once. Let's be honest. I remember yeah, when I was in Spain, Barcelona, I used to watch guys. It's a clown. I didn't know he was a clown at the time, but I thought, oh, this is just a very fine street performer. He also later became a clown teacher. And he would just stand in the same place, and he would be this kind of person who would just spot someone walking past and just kind of interact with them for 10 meters or whatever, then come back. And I was like, ah, so clever, so clever. And I watched him several times, he was always in the same place. I thought, okay, yeah, he's got a repertoire. If this kind of person comes past, he had a suitcase of props, he knows the 20 types of person he's going to interact with. Of course he does. It's not, it's improvising, but he knows all the possibilities pretty
Mm.
much because he's done it enough times to have that experience. So yeah, it's not completely random because we're people, humans, very repetitive animals. So yeah.
You mentioned something that was interesting as well, and something that I wanna actually explore more of, 'cause Leader Long told me about this, but, like, street clowning's big in France, and that's something that I don't hear much about. But yeah, street clowning is something that I definitely wanna explore in terms of, like, the performers that do it.
Yeah. I mean, street is really interesting. I've done so. I did a very intense. Remember one summer, particularly, I had no money. Okay, what have I got? Clowning. It's August, Barcelona. What am I going to do? Oh, there's tourists. Okay, let's do a statue. It was I don't know what. I haven't been there for years. I don't know if they still have those statues everywhere. Probably. I thought a clown statue. What's a clown statue? I thought, okay, someone who can't keep still. So I tried that. No one was interested in that. That's a rubbish idea. Um, and I was feeling a bit down, so I kind of played being sad a bit. And people seemed to find that funny. They gave me money that cheered me up, and I got sad again. And then I a little trick losing the money. So yeah, I survived for a whole summer on that because it was about. I mean, I was lucky in a way. If I'd gone more than a few days without finding that, I probably would have given up on that idea and tried something else. But it was about like, okay, people don't like that. People, oh, hang on, there's something. Oh, right, you want this? Okay, I can do that. And yeah, and then I had a pattern and just repeated it, you know, hundreds of times a day, and that was good enough for me.
Well, how did you keep it alive? Like, the energy so you didn't deliver it like it was, I
Mm,
don't know.
good point. Because you see someone coming. So there, I don't know if you know Barcelona, it's the Ramblas, it's a big kind of pedestrianised bit with cars down each side, but massive kind of wide. People just walk up and down there. Yeah. August, it's all tourists, all the locals have gone on holiday. And you see people coming from quite a distance away. Yeah. And they think, oh, look, someone's noticed. Maybe it's a child or maybe it's whoever it is. Go, oh, look. And they've just seen you. You look back and you bit of eye contact, or they look away and then you look back again. And then you got, oh, and someone thinks, oh, yeah, let's go and see what he's doing or let's give him some money or something. And then it's just that anticipation for me. It was the anticipation that I might earn some money, um, that there might be this interaction where people would like what I do and I could make them laugh or surprise them because I had a surprise that I would lose the money and I would get sad again. They didn't know that. And then they would, especially children, like, oh, the clown lost the money. Mum, give him some more. And give the kid some more money and they put it in my pocket. For days, people carried coins around and then I lose it again. Um, and then, oh, mummy, give him some more. He lost it. So it was a great money spinner when you get people like that. And it's just this, it's all a joke and fun, and you kind of slightly convince people, but they know it's just for fun, but it's enough for them to go, yeah, you deserve that. So something about the anticipation. Yeah. Because otherwise, yeah, you have to, there's a interaction with people and you have to follow their rhythm. So they come, I don't know. I used to say, I could spot the different, where the tourists were from very easily. The Italians would kind of rush up to me and literally pick me up and pagliaccio, pagliaccio, pagliaccio. And they literally do that. And the Brits would come over, give me loads of money, go way over the other side of the street and watch from there and laugh really loud, but from a big distance. Yeah, those are the two extremes. Um, but you respond to what people are doing. They take the lead. Well, you offer them something. They go, look, sad clown. And then someone goes, ah, sad clown. And then you respond. And if they're slow, you go slow. If they're fast, you go, yeah, let's go fast. It's complete prostitution. Like you're the object of of their, but that's what actors are, you're there for the audience. I mean, obviously, if they say that, now do this, now do that, and no, no, I don't do that. You're not a complete object, but you are, you're offering yourself to be played with in that sense.
Mm,
Um, so that's how it stays alive, because it's real interactions. It's real interactions. And that's probably why I liked clowning in the first place, because I had real interactions with the audience rather than my acting experience, which had been internal interactions with my own emotions and expression. It was very exciting to be on a stage and know that people were watching, but there was no interchange. It was all kind of in the ether. But with the clowning, I'd go into the audience and I accuse them of stealing my stuff. Yeah, it was my first clown role. And I go back into the play and go, oh, what's going on? So there were real interactions with people. I mean, play in play, but they are actual interactions. And that's what's rewarding, because probably, sadly, say my actual real interactions in the real world were way worse than that, than what I could have in a performing situation. I had a lot of performers have that. Like stage life is much more exciting than normal life. Normal life, you go to the corner shop and hope, have a little laugh with somebody who drops a bag of potatoes or something and you go, whoops. Doesn't happen very often. Life is poor. Stage is rich in these experiences of human interaction. Yeah. All right. That's it. Found the answer.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. No, it's amazing. Like, God, that is. Would you do it again? No,
Would I do it again? What? All of it?
yeah, the street before me.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah, that was a high point. Mm.
But would you do it if you? Would you?
Saying one.
Would you
I'm
do
not sure I
like?
did the
I know.
same thing because it might not work.
Ah,
I mean, I remember when at the end of August, so, typically, and then all the locals came back and they all stared at me going, like, what are you doing? Like, who are you laughing at? It was a completely different reaction. And my earnings went like down by, you know, 10 times less than what I was earning a day, suddenly, overnight, literally.
sure.
I thought, okay, stop. So I don't think I'd try that again. Or maybe in another part of the world, another time, another place, it would work. But, might not. Mm.
Okay,
But yeah, I've done street stuff since, more organized. Um, and it is nice to be or outdoor performing. It's good. People, where they
sure.
come for free also. And people don't have to pay to see you. It's different. Um, when they
Yeah,
pay to see you, they will laugh or they will get angry if they paid. No? So they will laugh very quickly or they'll just go, oh God, no. So that's more, the stakes are higher.
mm,
Outdoors, they'll go, oh, what's this? Or, yeah, anyway, I'll go and do that. So it's not so crucial.
but I mean, you get more stage time than any other discipline in terms of it's
Yeah,
easy to get lots more in a day than any other discipline, for
complete.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can just go out there, interact with people.
Yeah. Now, from all, what was your biggest tip?
My
So,
biggest tip,
yeah,
if I haven't said it already, I did think about this.
no,
But I've follow your audience. Well, I've just said it. You know, as a performer, it's up to you to star. You know, you're the performer. You're the person that either they've come to see, or you want them to stay and see. So you've got to offer them something, people. So you've got to bring something. I think, having, you know, you can't, yeah, I'm going to say some people will disagree with this. You can't start with nothing is no good. You have to bring something and then you have a response and then you follow. But you've got to set the ball rolling. That's a responsibility and the audience will then follow. The dog making a noise. The audience will follow and then you follow them following and then you all follow each other. Uh, Actually, it reminds me of an actual example of following. Years ago, I saw yeah, he's a clown, Leo Bassi, the Italian, but I don't know if he's still around or performing. And after the show in the theater, he would go outside, he would take the audience outside and then start saying, "Hey, let's go over there to that bar and tell them," or I don't know, like he'd sort of try to activate the crowd to go do things. Um, and yeah, he was very charming, and you'd follow him and then yeah, it was like major crowd work, but outside of the venue. Um, so you instigate it and then you follow. That's my main thing, I think. But
Okay.
you've got to have something to start with that will interest people. Um, yeah, don't do any old crap. Doing crap is horrible. Don't do that.
What what what
Because
was the
there is
big
a thing that, as I said before, thinking in clowning that you can just do anything and it's all doing things badly. Well, no, not really. So you can't just, well, you can, but if you just do things which is just bad, then they're just bad. And your friends might laugh at them, but no one else will. And it's just, yeah. So that's very cringy, I find, that kind of clowning.
Hmm,
So don't be that clown. Be the clown that brings something that people go, "Ooh, great." And then be the clown that follows people and listens to them. And
yeah.
and then they'll be very happy. And if they haven't paid you yet, they will pay you a lot.
Or as in modern day, they'll follow you on social media.
Oh, well, yeah, actually, there you go. Follow your social media. Yeah.
Oh,
I follow everything I can find in clowning, so it doesn't mean doesn't mean I like it. I follow stuff I find really weird um, and like, what? But it's clown related, so I'm interested. So yeah, I'm a bit strange. Most people just follow what they like, but for me, it's a job. So as in, like, understanding it is a job. Yeah.
it's something you have to give everything to.
Yeah, I mean, the more you give to it, the more you're gonna learn from it, and yeah, sure.
Now, to anyone that's listening right now, what so you've already mentioned it before about, like, following the audience, listening, and just taking initiative, but what is, what is a single piece of advice you'd like to give to performers that are in the middle of their career rather than the start? And how do people find out about you?
Okay, advice in the middle: be interesting, be entertaining. Uh, and yeah, I'm saying those things because they're a little bit against the grain of what you might hear in the clown world. Um, so it's a little bit to be, you know, don't believe everything you say. So I'm saying it a little bit for effect, but also I believe it. At the end of the day, most clowning is about entertaining, however profound and meaningful you believe your art to be. Um, Live performance or performance general has has some aspect of maintaining a relationship with the audience, which is what I mean by entertaining. I don't mean it has to be like light entertainment. You know, and that idea of entertainment can be very meaningful, but be you know be of interest, be interesting. However that happens, yeah, you might. Well, how do I do that? Well, I don't know, but if you're not being interesting and you're not being entertaining, then you haven't quite found it yet, which is fine because it might take a long time, and it's complicated. But be honest that well, actually, this isn't interesting, and people didn't really like this. They didn't really respond. So okay, So maybe I won't do that again. Maybe I'll do this. Experiment. Don't be afraid to throw things into the rubbish, into the bin. I say this when we're working on um, like creating material for clowning. Have 100 ideas of one type and throw away 95 of them immediately because they won't be any good. But you can have 100 ideas, 200 ideas, whatever, or five. Keep one. If it doesn't work, get rid of it. Have some more. You know, um, throw stuff out there. See what people respond to. You won't. You might not be able to predict it, especially if you're not very experienced. You go, well, I don't know why people responded to that. Okay, they did. So run with it. Um, so yeah, experiment, explore, but be honest and yeah, um, find a thing that engages people with things because that's who you're doing it for. Really, it's my
Okay.
way. Be engaging.
And who are examples of clowns that embody that message that you'd like to give a shout out to? And what are your social media handles? Do you have any courses or anything that you'd like people to find out about?
Okay, I mentioned Frankie Thompson before. Definitely
Yeah.
embodies that. Um, I'm really bad at this kind of question. If I hadn't thought it through previously, thinking of the people that I like seeing, I'm sorry. It's not because I don't like seeing them, but it kind of goes, I kind of forget about it. So let me think about that while I answer the other bit. Courses, yeah. So on my website, jondavison.net, I've got a weekend coming up, 6th and 7th of December, which is using skills and clowning. So you will need a skill of some kind, not high level. So it's kind of, I like playing with the contradiction between clowns, not knowing things, being stupid, inept, clumsy, but also having something they're better at than most people, even if it's a tiny bit better. So that's really interesting. I like working with that. I mean, I've always liked working with music. That's my skill. Um, so working with skills is interesting because without spoiling the skill, there's nothing worse than bad music. For example, who wants to hear bad music? It's not fun. So how do you use skills to clown? Anyway, that's 6th and 7th December. And then there's one in Amsterdam the weekend after. And there's the 3-week course in April. And there'll be and the online clown studies in January. And there'll be some more weekends announced for New Year as well when I have their dates. That's that. Clowns, shout out for clowns. God, I wish I knew this better. Had a better um, answer to this. Who do I like? Recently? Um, there was someone. Oh yeah, actually, I got an email today. So it's what's last in my memory is what I remember from someone who did a course with me recently. Um, Daisy, don't remember her second name. Doing a rehearsal, open rehearsal next week. Asked if I could go along. A show called The Gannet because she wants to make it more into a clown thing. So kind of quite visual artist kind of background. That's interesting stuff that she's doing. Look out for Gannet. What else? Gosh, I'm struggling here. Harley, help me out here.
Oh, I mean, the clowns that I admire at the moment that I think are really shit hot, what's it called? Joe Kent Walters, Frankie Monroe, um, Furiosa's great. Who else is there? I hear things about Gary Starr, but I've not seen him yet, so I can't say anything. Julian Masley's show was absolutely amazing when I saw her with her "Ha ha ha ha." And I like the way that she used golden leg, and for somehow she'll get people to comment on their problems or whatever, and she'll do a show just based on that. And yeah, no, it's very well executed, lots of theatre lighting, lots of questions, very original. Um, and then who
Yeah.
else?
So you see, Julia, that's a good example of saying someone who has the experience to to sort of work with what seems random, but is actually lots of patterns there. So she can respond in this very direct way, immediate way, but is experienced enough to be able to do that and is, very focused on in the moment stuff. But she has a lot of other, in my opinion, there's a lot of other skills which are not what you're seeing happening,
Yeah.
which is why it works so well. With the stuff I've seen of her in the past that was work in progress was really stunning because it was basically that. The structure wasn't there or whatever. She wasn't bothered about it. This is going back some years. It was really stunning because of that. And then sometimes when the structure came in, it wasn't as stunning, but I think she's managed to work out how those two go together there now. So
Yeah.
yeah, clearly it's a good example.
But she's been a clown for over 10 years. I think same with Vigo Venn. Her and Vigo Venn
Yeah.
have been clowning for years.
I
And
remember
Zach,
when, I remember when Julia came to a workshop or two of mine, and it was another example of me going, "What are you doing? Oh, I can't help you there. Sorry." Because it's someone that just has such a particular style, and I was already on that path. Yeah, and as I say, seeing some of the stuff she did at the beginning, it's just, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think it's matured now. That the last couple of shows, but yeah,
yeah. I'm interested to see what she does next, though.
ah, maybe that's it.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So some of those names you said, I don't know them. So you know more than I do in a way, but some of the comedy scene for sure. Um, yeah.
there's
Okay.
a lot of bad ones too. No, I'm joking.
Uh, well,
Sorry,
when you're bad sometimes, so that's a
I'm
lot of
joking.
dust,
But they're the I've watched maybe about 10 clown shows. I don't 15 or 20, but I think they're the ones that stand out.
right? Yeah, it's always good for us or anyone that's had any kind of success just to remember how bad we've been sometimes. You know,
Yeah,
um, and yeah, got to learn from that.
yeah. We're all shit sometimes.
Oh,
That's
I can think of people, but they're not London, you see. Oh, she was Natasha Mercado from Los Angeles. She was in London earlier this year or last year, just after she was at Edinburgh a couple of years running. In fact, Natasha Mercado, she's had a couple of shows. Um, God's Favorite Son or something it's called. And it's called. It's a
okay.
brilliant show. Um, and a lot of very fine tuned response to audience. She uses people very gently from the audience and puts them in these this very, very weird interactions. And she just deals with them with such care. But it's very, very funny, very kind of under the skin kind of stuff. Um, yeah. Again, not UK, Priscilla Costa in Vancouver, Canada. She's a stunning performer who can kind of weave between Buffon and clown and character comedy. It's just out of this world. Um, yeah, so check those two out.
Okay. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed John. That's something it's going to be going up next week. If you enjoyed this episode, give the review on Amazon or iTunes and Spotify. If you didn't, don't. Um,
I'll be watching.
wh- what give it to your enemies if you didn't like it? Should I say that?
Yeah, watch it if you don't mind.
Yes. It's like Floyd Mayweather says, if you like me fighting, keep watching. If you don't like it, keep watching. So,
Yeah.
but whatever the case, I hope you enjoyed the episode. We got a few coming up. We got scheduled Joe DaCosta, the music comic. We've got Nick Barnfather coming up as well. We got a former police officer and comedian coming up. So we've got a few coming up. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the next episode.